Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. It's Michelle Lloyd here, founder of United Art Space. And this is the final live session for your Art Matters week. And what an amazing, amazing week. I've had so much feedback from everyone just saying how hearing people's real stories and just being authentic and sharing fears and vulnerabilities and how things work and how things don't work has just been really refreshing for everyone. And I think it's also in a time where, you know, some of us can't get out or we haven't been out much this year, and it's helped people feel connected. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to everyone who's taken part, and I'll introduce you in a minute to everyone who's here. But everyone as well who's tuned in and given us the most amazing comments, thank you. And it has been a real reminder of why art matters and why your art matters. And so that's what I wanted to achieve, and I feel like we've done that, and I feel a bit emotional. But it's just been incredible to hear all the stories this week, and just to know that it's touched so many lives from around the world. So thank you, everyone. So today we thought we'd make it a bit of a Q&A session. You can ask any questions. We're going to have a chat with some more of my members from the Hub as well, who are on, Dorota, Colin and Noreen. So please feel free to ask any questions in the comments, and if any of us here can answer them today, we will. Camille's tuning in from Chicagoland. Marita, it's evening there in Melbourne. Oh. Nikki's tuning in from a soggy Lincolnshire. Yeah, it's wet and dark here as well. It's very miserable. Ryan, hello, lovely to see you here. So, right, I'm going to hop to Dorota first, and we'll have a little chat with Dorota. So I'm going to unmute you, Dorota. Hello.
Hello.
Lovely to see you again, because we had a one-to-one session, didn't we, a while ago? My gosh, that feels like a lifetime ago now when we last spoke.
Time flies.
It really does, doesn't it? And so, Dorota, could you tell us a little bit about your journey into the arts and the exciting things that are happening for you now, and where you're from?
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Poland, but I am a UK resident for, oh my God, 15 years in December. But my art journey is a bit funny because it's quite recent. As a child, I was told that I have a talent and could draw very well, and was always dreaming to go to the art school. However, circumstances were not in my favor, and I was not allowed to join art school. Therefore, I did what I could do. I decided, well, if I can't get any schooling in it, I'm not good enough. Then I abandoned art completely. Then, many years and nothing professionally, some art and crafts with my children from time to time, occasional, greeting card for a loved one, but nothing serious. And then I had a massive mental breakdown, like massive. Was in counseling, in therapy, and of course we have this system when you use your entitlement to the talking therapy, and then you are signed off, right? And no matter if you are ready or not, unless you can afford private sessions. But my therapist was so lovely person that she didn't feel very confident that I can be left alone. So she said, look, the only opportunity that I have now, and it's free through the same charity, is the art sessions, a kind of art therapy that you could join. I said yes to it, although I was very skeptic about how it will help me. And I started attending. The bonus was that I could attend with my little baby, because I had a baby, and the massive breakdown was associated with postnatal depression. Although I suffer from depression from teenage years, the kind of near-death experience with my last child activated all past trauma, and I had a breakdown. Attending those sessions, first few were like, I was just playing with whatever was provided and creating very dark blobs. But at some point, literally something opened up in me, and I started to see color again, and the color started to appear in those creations during sessions. And because the facilitator was a very lovely person, she was encouraging me to continue also at home. And I started to do it, although I didn't believe what's the point. But, going into those practices at home and the sessions there, I noticed that it really gives me amazing relief. That after, doing some drawing or painting, I feel better. So I started to pour art like crazy, really. I was creating something every day. And also writing poetry alongside. And then I came across your workshops. I participated in the first workshops. I didn't sign up because I couldn't due to financial matters. And then there was another round, and I said, you know what? It's like, having a coffee once in a while outside home. So, yeah, the in one go is a huge expense, but let me do it. However, after the first workshops, although I didn't join the hub, I started to be so, inspired by your words, that I was really doing the exercises, and I started to notice that things are ticking off, that I'm getting somewhere, that I see the point now. And when I joined the hub, I was already in a kind of creative spree, and it was just enforcing this what I was doing meantime. So at this point, I am heading towards my first solo exhibition. That's happening end of October. And because I am focusing on mental health and all the kind of states of mind, that exhibition is called Mental Health in Pictures. It's happening in Faversham, which is Kent, UK. And whoever wants to come and see it, please come. Of course, there is a stress factor associated because we are in pandemic. So I'm not sure what will be there, if the exhibition will take off or not, but I hope that it will. Of course, all the measures will be met in terms of health and safety. So I can't have a proper private view because of pandemic. Hello, my luck. But I'm very keen for it to go ahead. I have the feeling that I need to do it. And it's a amazing experience. My Instagram is flying. I have over 2,000 followers in very short while. Occasional commissions here and there, and a lot of organizations and charities that are focusing on mental health, contacting me, or I'm contacting them, and networking, and amazing things are happening, and it's just blowing my mind at some point. So
I just got a massive big body rush there. I'm not even joking. I just think, wow, what a transformation. I'm just processing everything that you've just said to me, actually, Dorota, because to be in that place, and I know how that feels because I have been in that place, and I, to have that transformation now where you're having a solo show. I mean, like, that's a massive, massive, massive deal. And I know that things are maybe feeling against you at the moment because of the COVID, and you can't have the private view that you wanted. But you know what I admire about you, Dorota, is despite that, you're still doing it. And you will always have that on your record or your biography that, my first solo show was during a pandemic. You did it. You did it. And that's something you'll look back on for years to come, that I still went ahead and I did it. And that is so brave and courageous to just get out there and just do it anyway, despite what's going to happen. There's so many things against me, but I'm just going to do it. And I think that's a big message, in terms of mindset and your mental health as well. So it's a kind of like, the irony of the show, and you're doing it despite all these challenges. So there's kind of like this parallel meaning there for me, and you being this inspiration and role model. And I think that through your art and sharing your story, I can see why people want to collaborate with you, because it's a powerful message, and you've got this story to inspire others that anything is possible. So wow, amazing. I've just got goosebumps, because I remember when we chatted, and those frustrations that you had along the way is now all starting to come to a vision, isn't it? And
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
so
how
much
do you,
happened in a short time that it's
yeah,
amazing. And the solo exhibition, you remember when we did the plan for the year and you asked us to have 3 big goals, and
yeah.
solo exhibition was one of them. And when I was writing it, I was like, yeah, right, this is not happening. And look at it, it is happening.
Yeah, you planted the seed and made it happen.
Yeah.
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 So I just wondered on the back of that, Dorota, have you got any advice for anyone who's maybe sitting there wanting the same kind of goals, thinking the same thing as you, that this is never going to happen for me? This is just, I'm just chasing something that's unrealistic. Have you got a message for anyone who's maybe sitting there thinking that?
Yes. Having a dream is all right, but the dream should be an action plan, really. To make it true, you need to have an action. And no matter
Yeah.
how little steps you take, you need to take those steps every day. So I do have my action list created every month. And of course, I never complete all of it.
Mm.
But, I'm ticking off things as I go because it gives me a great satisfaction. Even things like send email to that organization, or put this on your social media, whatever it is, however small, every day I'm making step forward. So being determined. And there is a kind of phrase that my grandma used to say: if you can't get through the door, use the window. So this was what I was really doing.
I need to write that one
Many
down.
doors are shut, but windows are always open from time to time because of ventilation issue.
I
So
love
you,
that.
you can do it. You can do it. I'm self-taught. I never was schooled, but I have this vision, and planning towards achieving your goal. It's this what gives you power. And of course, I have bad days, and of course, I have the imposter syndrome sometimes, and some kind of blow into to my confidence. But then I'm thinking, you know what? There are so many people who achieved so much in this world from the same position, having a dream. So I said, no matter how much my dream come true, at least I can say I did something to achieve it, rather than just moan that I can't live my life that I dreamed about.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, you've just totally changed your mindset, and think where you came from, and your description of how art got you out of that place as well is really important to mention, because I just think that I was talking to Viv yesterday, who was my psychotherapist years ago, and she's just turned to art for the same reasons, because she was so frustrated because she'd had all of her work taken away because of COVID, and she was the same as you. She said, I was just painting black dark things, and but how powerful that just, after a short amount of time, just released so much anger and upset. And it's so powerful, isn't it? Art is so
Yeah.
powerful. It still blows my
Mostly that
mind.
mental health is very abstract matter. You feel certain emotion, you have certain thoughts, but you rarely can grasp it. Like when somebody asks you, why are you depressed? How should I answer this question? I'm just depressed. I feel low. I don't feel any sense of living, and so on. But those words don't really reach the destination. People asking about mental health who never suffered any mental health don't really understand what we are saying. So,
Yeah,
considering that we understand the message from communications, it's like about 7% comes from verbal words. The rest is all non-verbal communication, tone of voice,
yeah,
body language, whatever.
yeah,
So I then decided that, image is the great communication channel, because through image, the recipient can, have their own feelings, can maybe associate, but then you are not throwing some hard words at them, asking them to to respond. You don't need to respond to my painting. You can just look at it and contemplate or reflect on. So I found that I used to call it art is my medicine. Yes, I do take antidepressants still, but art is my medicine that I use daily, and I physically feel unwell if I didn't do anything in art matter.
yeah.
I found that when something was worrying me, when I drew it or painted it, I could then grasp the concept. I could process what's the problem and then work on it without kind of trapping those demons on the paper. I couldn't move forward. I was running in circles, but
Yeah.
image helps me to process what's happening within me and then move forward.
Amazing. And I think your advice is so good. Action, which is the seventh key in the 7 ingredients, is action. Taking action, even just small little steps where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, but they amount to the bigger picture. Like you now, look at you having your first solo show, and it was from taking those small actionable steps and just taking a step forward, even if it's a small one. So I think that's great advice. Thank you. What an inspiration you are, Dorothy.
And one more thing, this is what you said, that you think that your actions are not paying off or you have no result. I have result from the actions that I have taken months ago now, because it never is instant. So this is my advice as well. Do what you think you need to do. Don't be upset by it not having result immediately, because the result might come and surprise you later on.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I'm just making notes. and also you need to follow that advice for yourself, because I was going to say something similar, you know, in terms of your exhibition, something will come from this, and you know, it could come later. It might not come from the actual event there and then. It might be someone that sees it and then in 6 months time go, do you know what, we saw your event. And so yeah, it's great advice. Thank you for that. I'm going to pop you on mute for a moment, Dorota, and come back to you and just jump to Colin. But thank you for sharing that. Colin, I'm going to unmute you. It is a pleasure to meet you, Colin. Hello.
Real pleasure to meet you too, Michelle.
Because you've been inside the hub in the most recent intake, and I've seen your posts, and so it's really nice to actually sit here now and speak to you, because you've had great progress since joining.
Yes, I have. Thank you. And it's really, I can't speak highly enough of finding the hub, and everybody inside is just so helpful. It's quite daunting to actually put yourself in front of your peers, rather than just putting your art there to the public.
Yeah.
But everybody has been super supportive. In fact,
it's a lovely group, isn't it? Tell us, Colin, a bit about your journey into the arts and where you're at right now.
Okay, well, I've made some notes because, one, I have a terrible memory. It's nothing to do with age, by the way. It's just there's so much going on. So I'll try and 44 years ago my journey started, and I'll try and condense that into 4 minutes. When I left school at 16, I wanted to pursue art in further education with the view to doing it as a career. Parents then were funding it, and they said, no, you'll be starving in an attic somewhere, so choose something else. So I went into catering. Just anything that I can working with my hands. And over those years, I just got busy. I did 5 years in the catering industry. Then I left that because I moved away from home at 18 into Warwickshire. I'm originally from South Manchester. I think the appeal was more the fact that I was living by myself at 18, not the fact that of the job that I took down there with a hotel chain. And when I moved back, then I went into the family business somewhat reluctantly for 20 years as a flooring and retail, and realized I couldn't do that to retirement age because it's such a physical job. And this is sort of a parallel to the art, is that woodworking was a hobby. And I turned that hobby into a professional career over the past 25 years. So I felt, well, if I can do that with a making furniture, woodworking hobby, why can't I do it with my art? Because my art's always been there in the background. And what if I had gone to art college? Where would I be? And it's just something that I can't let go. Something I always enjoy creating. the process. So with long hiatuses in between, I mean, I've moved over to America. I was out there for 16 years. When I had free time, I would make art, and I was selling and exhibiting, and I loved it. And just before I came back in 2013, my then boss, who was a great mentor, encouraged me to take up my art again, and I was in local shows in Connecticut, and it was doing really well. And then it was a big transatlantic move back. I had to start everything up again. You know, find somewhere to live, get a car, find work. So it's just made these long gaps with just life getting in the way, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I decided at the end of last year, because I married for the third time last year, and we celebrate our first anniversary next week. Who said it wouldn't last? So
happy anniversary for next week.
That now, I mean, the children are grown, and I'm in the position where I still have to do the woodworking to pay the bills, but wanted to make a really concerted effort this year to promote the art with no clue of how I was going about it other than, so I signed up for 9 exhibitions, the last one being a solo show, which is just a local art centre. It's not anything special, but nonetheless it was a way of getting my art out there. So I then took on this Facebook group, which was a sketchbook challenge in January, and it was to create the habit of drawing and painting, even if it's just 5-10 minutes a day, every day, to get back to that habit, because I've been years from not picking up a paintbrush. And I did, and I really enjoyed it, because it's a miserable month, mostly January. And it was received really well, and the people in there were super friendly. Now it's become a permanent group, I'm pleased to say, because the people kept going on and redoing the prompts that we had each day from 30 days. But it took my art in a different direction to where I've always wanted to be, and that took off of its own volition. And then it got people asking me for cards and prints and buying the original artwork, which was great. So I produced more, but I then thought, oh, well, possibly this could be a business, and then stumbled across the hub and was absolutely elated, because I've never had a roadmap before. And it was the hub that really sort of set me straight, and then working through the 7 keys. But the trouble is, I'm a bit of a ping pong ball mindset, so I'm all over the place, and this art had already taken off. So I thought, what am I doing? I'm halfway down a road but it's not the road I want to be going. So I need to go back right to the beginning, the mindset, and then the what. And I was just recently in one of the groups that you formed for Finding Your Who, which was great, and everybody was very helpful. But I now feel I have to go right back to what. And it seems like I'm taking 2 backward steps, but I don't feel that I am, because I want to create art from my heart and not from my head. And this is where I'm feeling a bit lost, actually, and confused, because the art that's been created as a response rather than what I want to create is doing well, and it's selling, and it's making money. And through galleries. So I'm a bit confused.
With what direction to go in.
That's usually a daily thing for me, ain't the best day.
No, and I think it goes back to that, you know, that quote, when people lose their way, it's because they've lost their why. And I love that quote, because whenever I feel that way, like you do, I just I don't know what direction to go in. Something doesn't feel right. Going back to the 7 keys, like you say, revisiting the why, and working alongside that in parallel to the work that you're doing now, because you know what might happen is a fusion, or you might realize I want to do something completely different. So look at Stacey, who's been in a while, and she's finally found it. But I feel that she had to go through that journey because everything that she's tried and tested has kind of fed into what she's doing now. So you're right in that it's not stepping backwards. We're right where we are right now, and everything that we're doing, everything that we're playing with, all the ideas that we practice with is amounting to the big picture. And it's that Steve Jobs quote that he says, you have to trust the dots add up. So all the little courses that you do, all the random things that you do add up to the bigger picture eventually. And you look back and think, that's why I did that, because it's led me here. So I feel that we should never see it as stepping backwards. It's ourselves growing and learning and developing that artistic voice and the language. And you realise now, and I've got to say, probably 60% of the members that join follow the path that you're going on. They start their 7 keys in a direction they think they want to go in, and it's usually 3 to 4 months in they realise that it isn't. And this is a regular common pattern. And so maybe we should put a post out in the group, Colin, for all those people that have been in that place that you've been in. And maybe we do a session inside the hub where we talk about this and how you kind of feed your soul and find that place.
I mean, I feel quite a commitment at the moment because I've got 2 quite, I consider, important collaborators that I've made a commitment to for the next 12 months. And they're helping me, and it's generating sales. I'm giving them money to the charity, both charities. And I do believe in the cause, and I believe in the artwork that I've created. Not from my soul. I mean, whichever art I create, I enjoy the process. Don't get me wrong; it's all good, because what little time I have to create, and I haven't had any in the past 2 months, is precious to me. So whether it's the art that's not quite the right path that I can make quickly, whereas the art I really want to do, I've now got to learn some new skill sets. They will have to be painted in oils or water-based oils, because we just small flat, and the last thing I want to do is stink everybody out with terps, and that's it. But the process of creating that art is a longer process per individual artwork than the watercolors and inks and graphites that I'm working with at the moment. So I'm thinking of maybe working that as my 20% for the time being and keep the other going as the 80%.
I was just about to say that. I just think, oh, Colin has disappeared. Are you still there, Colin? Right, your screen went off then. I was just about to recommend that. I feel like what you're describing is so normal. As all artists go through this, it's like the design cycle, and especially when you've started a project or a collection, there'll be a point where you start to think, oh, I need something else. And I was talking to Lottie about this, and Sharon does this all the time. And so she dedicates a percentage of her time to her collection and all the stuff that she's committed to and all the stuff that's going out to the galleries. But she has this creative itch, where there's some other things that I need to get out of my system, and it's that play time that you need, by the sounds of it, Colin. It's like a little bit of time to just play, explore your why, and it's that part of your visual language that you'll feed your soul, and that heart. It needs to come out, though. You can't repress it. So you've got to let that out and carve out a bit of time each week. And then what you might find when we do our studio sessions on a Friday, some artists have said that when they feel that, they've actually processed stuff and made a lot of art and realised that they don't want to put that out into the world. It was just something they needed to get out, but they didn't realise. Or you might be like Lottie and think, no, I don't want to make that art anymore. And you'll find a way of transitioning. Once you understand that other part of yourself as an artist, there'll become a point where you go through the 7 keys and think, yes, this is the direction I want to go in. And you'll transition out of that other place into your new place. Or you might find that they might fuse together. So you might not change direction at all. It might just be the playtime that you allow. You might make a connection and think, this is going to come together. It's still the same who and still the same relationship, but there's just something different that needed to come out. So that's what I find usually happens.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked to see if there is a link from reading the 7 keys over and over just through the first 2, and the link's really tentative, to be honest. A lot of the art I'm producing at the moment and that's doing well is nature-based.
Yeah.
And so the charities like the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, Save the Butterflies, and through the pandemic, and I just struck lucky really, because, for instance, the prompt was fragile, so I painted a butterfly to illustrate fragile or delicate, and dragonflies and bees and so forth, and people just going mad for them. Oh, have you got any new art? Oh, I need this or that. Are you doing any winter, seasonal stuff? My stuff's selling in farm shops up and down, but the customers are driving the art, and I'm thinking, oh, this seems a bit weird. Whereas I should be wanting to create and think and evolve my art.
Yeah.
And this is what you have. If you like it and you want to buy it, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it seems a bit up on its head at the moment, upside down.
Yeah.
But the art that I would like to produce is more figurative and has a narrative. And I understand from thinking it through that narrative really is describing things I've gone through in the past 30 years. And it's along the veins of, for instance, a big fan. You were talking about choose 3 artists. So I've done that. And one of them is Jack Vetriano.
Yeah.
Now, not so much for his, like the Dark Angel series, but there is a strong narrative in all his work, and you can instantly tell his style. But there are other artists like Hopper, who I was very fond of when I lived in America, but it's gone off him as a person, not per se as an artist. When I learned how bad he treated his wife and muse. And also that he declined any interest to Martin Lewis, who did these amazing etchings of New York City life, urban life. So that's the direction I want to go in, is more of the figurative. And when I've looked back at some of my old art, which has just recently sold, was for Indigenous people. So the First Nation Americans, for instance, I did 2 portraits, and I have a strong feeling of connection, and that they're spiritual and their customs, their respect for nature. I could see a link from that to the nature art I'm producing, but not the other figurative art that's more about what's happened to me emotionally through my life in the past 30 years.
Yeah. So yeah, I would kind of pocket them as projects, and for now, start a new little project on the sidelines of that relationship.
Really excited. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Michelle.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, I was just saying, to set up another project which is exploring this experience over the years and the figures that's on your mind. Because if you put that in a box and don't do anything with it, it's just going to keep coming back, like that itch that Paul described that you just can't get to. So.
Yeah, and it was Lloyd yesterday. Was that yesterday? Forgive me.
Don't ask me, because I'm lost. It was either yesterday or the day before. I think it might have been the day before.
I stumbled across an artist I think he's in America, called Scott Burdick, and his paintings are just mind-blowing, of Indigenous people, and particularly First Nation Americans.
Yeah.
So taking Lloyd's advice and what he did, and he said, what's the worst they can say is no, or they just blank you.
Yeah.
So I sent a long message to this really, prominent artist in America. It felt really weird.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from him yet, but it's only been a couple of days. So, but I just asked him, what advice could he give me as where I am and how to get where he is, kind of thing, as an artist.
Yeah, brilliant. It's just doing it. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? They'll either say no or not get back to you. And the more you do it, the more it just feels comfortable doing that. So amazing. So the thing is, though, Colin, it's like whatever you turn your hand to, you've made it into a success. So and the 7 keys now, you've got those to explore that other part of yourself that you haven't. So I feel like we'll just give some examples from people inside the group in terms of where they've been in that stage of I've got this and it's established, but I'm feeling something else.
I'm glad to hear it's normal though.
Very, 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 very normal. And also, Colin, it won't stop.
Oh.
Yeah, Sharon says all the time. She talks about this being the design cycle. So it's just the cycle of being an artist. You get excited about something, you find something, you explore it, you output, and then it's like, and you have to go back to the why again. So it's an ever-evolving process for sure.
Would just like to say, and I'm sure I speak for probably everybody on the hub, is that this week's sessions and the live sessions have just been amazing, really, really amazing, and learning so much just from listening to other people's stories, and help spur you on and know that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Colin, because I've absolutely loved doing them as well. And it's given me some ideas. In fact, I was talking to Marita about doing this more inside the hub and showcasing artists and how they're using the 7 keys in relation to their own life and art, because I think it will help see it in action. So yeah, thank you for that feedback.
All of us, regardless of what stage we're at, it's
fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
It is, isn't it? And yeah, and you know what? It doesn't matter what stage we're at. And also what I've loved about this week is everyone has got a different story. Some are coming from a place of trauma. Some are just coming from a place of, I just found art last week. And, you know, it's just been so lovely that everyone can just share and they've not been comparing, thinking, oh, I haven't got a big story. We're just all being authentic, just honest, and each story is connected with someone else, and that's what I love about this week. So thank you, and thank you for being here, Colin, and sharing your story. I'm going to pop you on mute and go over to Noreen. Hello, Noreen. It's lovely to meet you.
Hi. How you doing?
Really good. So tell us about yourself, Noreen, because again, I've seen your posts in the group, so it's absolutely lovely to see you here as well and actually meet you in person.
Thank you.
So
yeah, just as you finished up sharing there with Colin, I was just thinking about how great this group is. To be a part of this group, it's great. And also the encouragement that I've been getting through just the genuine openness and honesty of people in the group. I love that. And like you just said, no matter where you're at, you feel it's okay to be where you're at. And just in relation to what Colin just shared now, it's been even that hit my heart, because I'm actually going through marriage breakdown for the 2nd time. So it's hard, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it is.
But I think we're very blessed to have the opportunity to paint, and I'm a writer as well as a painter. I have had some work published. I have a lot of work that I desire to get published, but this last couple of years I've sort of thrown myself into the art. Like Colin as well, I lived in America off and on for 10 years in Branson, Missouri. I have a little place over there in Branson, Missouri that I can't get to right now, that I have got some art in the shed and supplies and stuff. But my art journey started about when I was about, maybe 15. And I went to school in the Republic of Ireland. I had opportunity to do history of art and art. And that's where my, the studying Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and all of these people. And I had a desire. But then life, we think we know what we want, and we get all caught up with relationships and sometimes the wrong things. And I ended up having a child when I was younger in London, and getting married, lasted 5 years, got out of that, reared 2 kids by myself, fumbled through, did counselling course, became a qualified counsellor, but I needed more help than I could give. So I actually then trained as a beauty therapist and did color analysis. So I have a load of experience, but I never was where I wanted to be, or where I would, where I would enjoy being. And then I got into sales, which I really loved as well. And but like you said earlier on, all of this brings us to a place, and we take from all of this, and now we use all of this to be who we are today. And it's great, no matter where we're at. It's all good.
Yeah,
and yeah, it really is. Sorry, yeah.
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah.
And then a couple of years back, I was going through marital difficulties, which I've been going through quite a lot for a number of years. But I was going through marital difficulties and got involved with a mentoring program in the United States. And it's faith-based, which was useful for me and is useful for me. So I continue on that as well. But I hopped on the Hub because yours seemed to be something more practical. That one is working on the heart and healing and restoration. This one is practical and also taps into all of those things that we need to be doing. So I have shifted quite a bit in the last couple of months. I feel I have. Because I've been encouraged to practice, and I was able to communicate with the Hub, and I'm now on my where. I know I'll have to go back to my why and my who, but I'm on my where right now, and I am disciplined to work through the process.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And so you feel that you've had this big shift recently. What would you say has been a catalyst in that? Is there one thing, or?
Oh no, well, there has to be a number of things, and I have to say thank you to you when I reached out, when I was, thinking, well, who's my who? And, I'm kind of lost, and I'm doing blue and green, and I couldn't get away from blue and green. And so I actually deliberately last week took out blue, red, and white, and I said, that's it. There's going to be no green in this picture. And it's really unusual looking. But my daughters are both artistic as well. One of them's an architect in Bristol. She's got a little boy, he's a year old. And I have another daughter living here in Northern Ireland. And I used to live in Donegal up until Thursday. I'm now in Northern Ireland. But she is also artistic, and she likes to do portraits and that type of thing. So and so your encouragement and your help and your support when I needed it give me that stepping stone that I needed at that time. And my daughters are always encouraging me, saying, Mom, I love this work, and I prefer that work, and this is your thing. And my daughter in Bristol actually helps me a great deal by preparing or editing work for pictures. Throughout COVID, I was excited because I also write poetry. So what I did was I was writing poetry relevant to our day and our time, and we were marrying that together with a picture, an image, and then posting it to Facebook. But I've been doing that, and I see that as an encouragement for people. But I have a long way to go yet as far as getting this. I'm not there yet. So that's where I'm headed. I got good news last night. I actually wrote an email to artclick.ie, which is an Irish online website for selling art. So they said, yes, send a photo, send your work. So yay. So it's all good, even though one side there's a crisis and there's turbulence and there's the marital stuff. But alongside that is the art and pouring my heart and pouring the paint and being engaged and looking forward to being a part of this family. And I want to say thank you to you and to the family of Hub brothers and sisters. It's wonderful. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for being with us as well, because it is definitely the community that feed each other and support each other that is just so special, isn't it? And I'm glad to know that just that one piece of advice helped give you some clarity, because I can understand how frustrating it is sometimes when you just can't see the answers, and quite often they are in front of us, aren't they? That they're there, and we're so involved in our own work, and the 7 keys can be quite like, where am I going with this? But the answers are there, and you just need a few clues to get started. That's what you need.
And I also think that we need encouragement. I think we do really need to encourage each other all the way. And that's a big responsibility for you to have to take all the responsibility, because we are a team. And I think we need to encourage each other. And I think encouragement works for us all. We've all got heartaches. We've all got pain. We've all got grief. I mean, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. So that's where I throw all my heartaches onto that every morning. I have a time of journaling, meditation, and scripture reading, and that keeps me moving forward. But alongside that, then there's the Hub family, which is great too. It's great.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Noreen. It's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
And well done for you for persevering and answering, asking the questions and showing up for yourself and processing it all despite everything that's going on, and sharing all that wisdom. Lots of people are saying wise words. Well done, Noreen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of nice comments. Lovely to hear your voice, Noreen, says Siobhan, and your success in making art is so important to you and your well-being. Yes, encouragement does work for us all. It goes back to that confidence bucket, doesn't it? Of, we're always emptied of confidence because there'll be things that happen to us. We'll do something wrong, or we'll get a rejection, and we have to keep topping up the confidence bucket. And the Hub is the great place to do that, because we all need to be encouraged to keep going, because it gets tough and we doubt ourselves. So you're right, having a support group or whatever outlet you have to keep yourself strong and going is so important.
And actually, just one thing, and I know we need to move on, but one thing that has been really significant for me is hearing from other people, even Colin just now, or lots of people along the way, is all of the pain and grief and hurt that we've all come from. Nobody's got it all figured out, really. And we'd be foolish to think that anybody and everybody has. So it's really a blessing to be able to work alongside other people that understand that pain and that grief and that hurt, whether it's a current situation or something in the past. It's a matter of processing and working through with each other.
Yeah, I think that's why we do have a lot of time for each other inside the group, because we all recognise that. And also there's something really special about us all just sharing it in a frank way.
Absolutely.
We don't have it figured out, and I don't have it figured out. I teach all this stuff, but I don't have it figured out, and I'm working through the 7 keys all the time, going backwards and forwards over them, and and we're just taking our steps forward and trying to do what's right for ourselves and everyone else, and that's all we can do, isn't it? And be true to ourselves. And we get so clouded by life and other people's opinions and hurt and what's going on. And you're right, it's so lovely just to hear that we're all normal and we're all going through our own things.
Yeah, and we live in a world where we have, I think this lockdown situation has taught me a great deal, in so much as, I like shopping, I like clothes and style, I like even shopping for food and little bits and pieces. And I think it's not a bad thing to have the opportunity to pull in from all of that, and to get that opportunity to heal, whether it's through writing, poetry, art, or other artistic media. It's just great to have that opportunity and to come to that place where you don't need to be going, doing, buying, or whatever else you might pour your energies into, or living up to other people's expectations,
Yeah, amazing advice. Thank you, Noreen, for sharing that.
Yeah.
Again, guys, if you could put your links after we've ended this in the comments, because I know everyone wants to follow you and check out your work. So we'll make sure that Noreen, Colin and Nick and Dorota put their links in afterwards. I'm just going to put you on mute, Noreen. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us and being here. And I'm just going to go to Nick now. So Nick, I'm just about to unmute you. Hi, Nick. I'm glad you got on, because I saw you were having some issues getting on, so I'm glad you sorted that. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just had to go into my settings and reset all my app settings, and that was in the hit button. So, good morning, everyone. Hello, Michelle.
Good morning. It's so nice to meet you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Lovely. Yes.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick, in terms of...
So you want to... Right. It was going through the first, not the mindset, the second one, that really it sort of came out. I even had an idea this morning, actually, that what I thought was my start actually happened 2 years sooner. And I only had that thought this morning. So it's continually manifesting, but I think I'm at that point now. So I was at school. I think I might have been 12 years old. And there you had art and craft at school then. So we were in to work with clay, and it was the first time I touched clay, and I made a vase in the shape of a tree trunk and put holes in it to mimic the knots so that it could be a usable vase, and I've still got that now. So but then you know what school's like, it's very hit and miss with art. At this point, my dad had left the army and he started to paint in oils, self-taught, in his little studio. And I would go out, and I absolutely loved the smell of Turks, and I still do. And I would watch him work. He showed me how to clean paintbrushes. He explored oils, but he didn't seem to sort of, I don't know what's the word, give him any fire. So he then taught himself to wood carve. An absolutely brilliant wood carver. Thankfully, I've got lots of his pieces now. So he inspired me. But when I was 14, when you have to pick your GCSE subjects, or then it was CSEs, I picked art. So the first year we started, and it was go and draw something. So I drew my dad's army boots. And to this day, they still exist. I still draw in exactly the same way. My dad was bowled over by my drawing, and so was my art teacher. But then in that 2 years of doing art, my work never seemed to appeal to the people, the examining boards or anything like that. My art teacher loved my work, but not very many people did.
Yeah.
So that kind of put me off a bit. I'll jump quite a bit because life gets in the way, marriage, having to work, do everything else. I didn't go to art college because I knew several people who had, and when you go to art college, whether you're doing ceramics or fine art or whatever, they want you to find a style, don't they? And they want you to stick with it. And I thought, no, my personality will not allow me to do that. So that's not for me. So I never went to art college. And even now, I've thought, well, should I go now? But the thing is the same. I would be limited. So no, I'm quite happy with the route I'm in now. So yes, fast forward quite a bit. I had some mental health issues. So, you know, depression. So I joined Mind as a support worker as well. And I had a ceramics group. So I joined that. And I started sculpting, and I did that for 4 years until I had to leave it. So then I had a gap of nowhere to do. I've got all the kit, kilns, you name it, I've got it, but nowhere to do it. So that was quite frustrating. So then lockdown happened. And prior to that, I think about a year before that, I started doing 6-week local art courses. There's a lot of art around in where I live in Brecon. A lot of artists, lots of groups. And so I did a few 6-week courses, and I thought, yes, I need to get back into the paintbrush and the charcoal and the pencils. So that started me off. And then meeting you, finding you, Michelle, was the I don't know, the match to the fire, if you like. You know, let's get started. Let's do this. Let's make it real. And my art is a bit quirky, and I'm a quirky person. I like that word, quirky. And you, listening to you and other people saying it's your work, you will find your who based on your work, your art. I thought, okay, so let's just go with it, and that's what I've started doing. I'm where I am in the 7 keys is the third one, so that's my what. So I'm making art, but I haven't actually sort of fine-tuned it because I've only made 5 pieces so far.
Yeah. But you're feeling like, are you feeling like that is your work though, that this is where you want to be, or are you still in that play mode of discovering?
It's sort of a bit of both. I think that your idea of doing collections, because I'm so quirky and I don't want to stick to one style, I thought, right, we'll do a collection.
Yeah.
So where I thought, right, I'm going to do, because mine are sets of 3, it's one flower depicted in 3 different ways and different mediums, whatever. So they're sets of 3. So I've got to do 5 flowers in that set of, sets of 3. Yeah. But then I'm on the second set now, but already I'm thinking, well, okay, I'm still going to use flowers, but actually I can do something different with it. So I'll do 3 sets of flowers, then I'll move on to another depiction just to keep it fresh.
Yeah, that's right. So you're going deeper on that.
Yeah. Yes. And I have a very funny habit. I don't know if it's habit, it's me, but every morning I stand outside and that's when my ideas come to me. And I have to think, oh, yes, that's what I'll do with that. Oh, should I explore that? And another one was quite funny because a lot of what my work is, because it's inspired by lockdown, it's basically my garden wall, which is centuries old. And the flowers I have in my garden or want in my garden. And you might find this funny, but I think it was Monday morning I was out. It hadn't been raining. And there was a ginormous snail next to me on the wall, making a beeline for a hole in the wall. So I took loads of photographs of it up close and even videoed it. And it went in the hole and joined its partner. So there were 2, and it was about that size, absolutely enormous. So I then had a close look at the shell, and I thought, do you know, if I make that absolutely enormous, that's going to have so many things in it. It can be a snail, but it can be so much more. So it's about colours and shapes. And the things that we take for granted. So I've added that one to. I'm going to do that one as well.
I like that. But your thread is. I love that your thread is the garden wall. I really like that. It's like that could almost be like the diary of the wall. That wall that you walk past every single day, and you see something new every single day on the wall, or the colours are changing, or that little character that's just come along to have a nosy, and you paint that. That's a great thread, and really interesting as well. So I like that.
It's difficult to know who my who is with that, because okay, if I'm doing flowers, but then I'm going to be doing a snail, so it's the only thing that's the constant. Well, there's 2 constants. It's the wall and the fact that I do 3D. So because of my love of clay, I decided to marry the 2. So some elements of it I've sculpted in clay, and then I stick it on, and it becomes part of what I'm doing. So an element of the poppy, I do 1 leaf out of clay, so it's 3D. So that's another one. So that's where my who is a bit sketchy for me, but I've got plenty of time to come up with it because I've still got loads of art to do.
I've already got loads of ideas, so Nick, we're not going to have a problem there.
Okay, I'll come to you when I'm ready for those then. Thank you.
Yeah, because already whilst hearing you talking, you know, I can pick out from your why and your what and the connection you can have with people. So yeah, just pour out. I love where you're going with this though. You know, this idea of the wall and you know, what was it you called it? The journey of the wall, or the diaries of the wall, or something like that.
I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Apart from, you can't just call it the wall because that will make people think of Pink Floyd. You know, so I think that will come to me over time. What I've learned is that sometimes the answers don't come straight away, but if you look for them, they will find you eventually.
You're so right. Yeah, one day you might just be sat in the garden and you'll see something and a phrase will come into your mind and you'll think, oh, that's it. That's the title of this project, whatever it is, or the title of a new artwork, or I love that. And I've loved hearing your journey, and no matter how many stories I hear, I'm always just so intrigued about an artist's brain and the journey, but how people find their inspiration and how we see things. You know, we're all so individual, we're all so unique. And so thank you for sharing that, Nick. And it's absolutely lovely to meet you, and we'll dig into your who inside the hub.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to head now, so I just want to say thank you. I've got a play date with my son's children. I've invited 2 kids around for a play date, so I've got to be on time today. But I just want to say, as we wrap up for your Art Matters week, just thank you again to everyone who's taken part, to Noreen, Nick, Colin and Dorota today for sharing their stories, and everyone else who shared their stories this week. And to just really recap on what we've learned, some of the biggest things for me is just about having the courage to be yourself and just be authentic. It's like one of the biggest challenging things that we can do for some reason. And it's one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves, is what I've started to learn this week from hearing everyone's stories. It's really, really courageous and brave to be yourself and to put yourself out there and say, this is me. This is the art I want to make. And having heard everyone this week, stepping into that and the feeling you get when you finally start to have that courage to just make the art you want to make and be the person that you are, and accepting the journey that you're at and being kind to yourself. You know, we're not going backwards and taking steps back, we're stepping forwards. Like Noreen said, everything that's happened to us is amounting to the person that we are today, and it's embracing that I'm here right now and this is the next step I'm going to take, and then I'll take one the next day and one the next day. And when you want to make it a living, if that's what you want to do, not everyone wants to make a living. Again, I was talking to Marita about this. Success is so different for everyone, and we have people in the hub who just want to find themselves, and they're there to do that, and they're not looking far ahead, and they're not looking about making money. And others, they do want to make it a living. That's what they're striving for. And we all have different stories, different goals. And what I love about our community is no matter what the goal is, or what your journey has been so far, or what your beliefs are, if they're not the same as ours, we have this acceptance of each other. We don't judge each other. And that's what I love about our community. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for following those principles of not judging and being supportive and embracing everyone's individual views and where they want to go, and not judging on talent and whether they've got qualifications. And I'm going to cry now. Just need a minute. Because it's special. What we have here is special, and showing up for each other and supporting each other, for us all to be these people ourselves. It's just incredible to be part of, and thank you. Thank you for everyone for being here. So anyway, right. Thank you, Nick, Noreen, Colin, and Dorota. Please put your links in the comments afterwards. I'll send you a link inside the hub. It might not be immediately because I've got to go and tidy up before the the visitors arrive. But I will do it later. So thank you, everyone. And remember, you matter, art matters, your art matters. Sending you all so much love and take care. Bye, everyone.